Hello again, folks. I wasn't planning on making a video today, but regarding a few certain things that came up regarding the video I did yesterday about me not collecting anymore and me retiring from the collecting thing, I've just turned around and I thought I might as well address those in the different order they're in, as well as do something a little bit different regarding this particular video. I just finished watching Dave, SMS number 1's video about Battle Ops Bumblebee, as well as watch the beginning of what he said regarding the whole collecting thing, and pretty much aiming that particularly at me. And all that's true. It might have sounded like I was stomping my feet up and down saying, I'm not collecting anymore and all this other shit. And everything regarding collecting, as it pretty much is all pretty much true, in that regarding a collection of something, you are never going to be able to complete a collection of something because they are always bringing out new lines of a certain product. Regarding, it doesn't matter what it is. And if you're happy with the amount of figures that you've got, then I think that's the time to really stop. So, I don't know what stupid idea came over my head when I just said the things that might not have sounded a little bit more coherent. But mistakes are made and all that other crap, so let's just move on. So what's this video about, other than me addressing all this other stuff that Dave said? This is pretty much a discussion video regarding Hasbro's current crisis at the moment regarding the change in figures and quality and all that stuff. And I've never done a discussion video before, so I have no idea how this is going to turn out. So if it turns out crap, I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah. Regarding Hasbro, and regarding how they do things nowadays with Transformers, is a much more different thing. Because if you think back over the years of the lines that Transformers has had, from G1 to Beast Wars, to the Unicron Trilogy to Animated, to the movie line, and everything else in between, we've seen the quality change over the years, for better or for worse, and at the moment, I think that with the current price in of figures getting higher and higher, because the figure is smaller and smaller, and the reason why it's smaller and smaller goes back to the whole thing about who said it? I think it was Vigadeth who said this. Regarding the whole price of oil at the moment. Since I don't have a car, it makes it difficult for me to really remember how much petrol costs, but to my knowledge, petrol at the moment costs an awful lot. So, to fuel our cars and lorries and all that stuff, the petrol is costing a stupid amount of money. And another thing as well, addressing the whole quality and plastic reducing to what we currently have at the moment, that again, it goes back to the whole price and oil thing, because the oil has gone up, the amount of plastic being used, the amount of oil being used to make the plastics and make these is somewhat lesser than what we currently had 5 years ago. And I can't say that's a bad thing, because Hasbro are at a shortage of plastic because of oil, and I think that that's kind of a problem, really, when you have a powerful money-making empire, and when you reach a certain point where you have the plastic for your figures already, but you don't have enough for it to make the figures that you really want to make the size that they should be. Like, for example, I said that this figure should be bigger as this, because this is Ultra Magnus, Optimus Prime. This model was used for Optimus Prime, but works better for Ultra Magnus. I still think that this figure should be much, much bigger. It should be the same size as WFC Prime. And as much as I do like this toy a lot, the mold is good for Ultra Magnus, it just should be bigger and the plastic should be thicker. But then again, if you want thicker plastic, and here's another thing as well, regarding Hasbro and how they do things. A lot of people have now moved to third-party, like Head Robots and Fans Project and every other third-party company under the sun, and they have made some good add-on attachments for certain figures, and some good figures that aren't made by the licensed company that made these things, and they are good. The only problem is they're just too expensive to buy, but that's third-party, I'm afraid. So take it as it is. But at the moment, I feel that Hasbro, I'm not saying Hasbro being unfaithful, because they are trying their best with what they've currently got. And the full Cybertron line, with an exception of a few figures, as well as I think it's the second wave of Prime, which has bad quality plastic for their figures, is an example of how much they've declined so much nowadays. And here's another thing as well I think should at least change this around. Because with all these companies, with third party, with Hasbro, with Takara Tomy, and another thing about Takara Tomy is, they've recently released Masterpiece Soundwave, and I've seen a lot of people review that figure, a lot of positive reception for that figure, and rightfully so, because it's a Masterpiece line. It's of the Masterpiece line, and it's a line that is geared towards adult collectors who grew up with G1 and stuff. And for them to use a lot of time and effort and money in what they're doing, it shows that they actually want to put a lot of consideration in what they're doing in the making of their figures. The same, I wish, could be said for Hasbro. As things are, it's kind of a problem. And again, going back to the whole plastic thing, and I'm probably going back and forth on this a little bit, when the time comes when we do run out of oil to fuel our cars and stuff, and when we run out of oil to make the plastic to produce these toys, we're going to need to find an alternative solution to basically improve the toy market a little bit, because with the way things are with the price of figures and the quality diminishing lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, it's kind of really at a turning point for a lot of different things. And I offer one idea regarding this, and this is probably going to sound really, really silly. When we do run out of oil for these figures, I offer one idea, because rather than using petroleum-based plastics, let's face it, plastic, as we all know, is a non-biodegradable substance that is doing quite a lot of harm to the environment. So instead of using petroleum-based plastics, try using much more thicker, more friendlier on the environment products, like, for example, hemp-based oil. Yes, you heard me correctly. Hemp, H-E-M-P. Hemp-based oil to make the plastic from now on, because it would easily drive down the production costs a great deal, as well as produce much better plastic than the ones that are currently being used. And not to mention, it's a biodegradable substance and can easily break down and cause no real harm for the environment. So that's one idea to consider as well. That's one idea that I think should at least be discussed. And it might sound silly because you think, oh, don't use hemp in a children's toy, that's fucking stupid. And it does sound stupid, but it's the only idea that I can come up with that is safer for the environment and less cost-effective, I think, in the making of these figures. And another thing as well, and this is another idea that I've thought about since yesterday. With all these companies, with Hasbro and Takara Tomy and third-party stuff, I offer one idea free of charge. Rather than just working individually, why don't Hasbro, Takara Tomy, and every third-party company under the sun, just work under one banner and produce and make and expand the quality of their toys, and make more toys instead of just having to have other people from the fandom just resort to just moving away from the official product line and go to other sources, unlicensed companies. But then again, that would be so hard to do though, because since all these companies are run by different managements, Takara Tomy is in Japan, and this again is going back to the whole subject which I keep seeing all the time, which is the lack of distribution of Transformers figures in the UK at the moment. That is true. The UK is known for not getting that many good figures in any line. Not necessarily Transformers, but in any line. And I think Sam, 000 Firestorm, said this as well. He said this much better, I think, is that Hasbro don't really seem to regard the UK as being the #1 place to transfer everything over, because we're always at the bottom of the pile. It's a shame, but that's just how it is. And you'd think that would kind of be addressed, but I think that's kind of gonna stay there for a while. I don't see any change in that at all. Unless somebody takes that around and says, oh, you're not giving us the attention we deserve. Give us better stuff. Give us better quality. Instead of giving us what we currently have, which is, funnily enough, when I go into my entertainer, the entertainer of the toy store, I always see Dark of the Moon figures. And no one's buying them. And not to mention as well that since the new movie is coming out next year, Transformers 4, I get the feeling that we probably are going to be back at square one again, and the line's going to come out, the movie's going to come out, the toy line for that movie will be made, and not many people will buy it because, and keeping in mind as well, this is something that I think a lot of people should already know, is that Transformers is a toy line that has been and always will be aimed for children, and when parents go out and buy these things, the figures that the children really want, the currently overpriced ones, it's going to be kind of hard to afford that birthday present for that child, or Christmas present, depending on what it is. And again, regarding the whole movie line thing again, is that once Transformers 4 comes out, you get the feeling that not many people will buy the movie line, only a few people will only be accepting to the movie line. The movie line is good and all, but it's not finding its audience. And it's kind of the whole thing about Hasbro as being a little bit, well, not a little bit, more mainstream now than ever with Transformers and how they do things thanks to the movies, which have pretty much acted as like a turning around for Transformers. But yeah, getting back onto the subject regarding the current change in Hasbro and how they're doing things nowadays. Well, I figured that since I offered my idea to this, I'd like to know what everybody else's opinions are regarding this, and what ideas that you can offer to make Hasbro, well, not make them, but at least persuade them to see what they're doing is kind of a little bit out of order in the quality of figures and the pricing of small toys. And here's another thing as well. Guess how much I paid for this figure? $17.99. When normally this should cost about £10. Well, if it was larger, I can understand, but, I don't know. I like this figure, but it could have been bigger. But, yeah. I would like to know what everyone else's thoughts regarding this whole, problem is, because at the moment I feel that with Transformers doing as it currently is, which explains my reason for leaving collecting and everyone else's reason for leaving collecting and stopping at certain lines, which again is not a bad thing, because when you reach a certain limit of figures, you feel that you've kind of really owed it to yourself to buy the figures that you really like and have the collection that you feel proud of, and that's a good thing. But what else can I say about this? This is something that a lot of people, from TF Nolsey to Professor Moriarty X, who kind of started this whole thing about distribution in the UK and all that crap, and how at the moment we're not getting anything good, and the quality is diminishing lower and lower and lower. The prices are going higher and higher and higher on the small figures that should be reasonably priced. So, yeah, I'd like to know what your thoughts are regarding this whole thing, and what can be done to change this idea a little bit. Should they go back to the way that they used to do figures with better plastic? Even though we're kind of, even though at some point we will run out of plastic, we will run out of oil to make the plastic for those figures that we had, which had better plastic, or find an alternative solution for plastic that is not only less cost-effective, but safer and cleaner on the environment. But yeah, my ideas are probably not going to be enough for what everybody else has to offer. So, a comment or a video response below if anyone really is that interested in this. But yeah, I just thought I'd get this out of the way just to try this as an experiment. It might not have gone the way that I hoped, but I've addressed a few things that have caused problems about Transformers and the line that we currently have at the moment, and I just feel that a certain change needs to be made from that to help keep people still attached to this franchise for many years to come, and to make it less cost-effective and much more easier, I think, to buy the figures that everyone really wants. So, there you go. Comment or respond away, I'll let you know. So, take care.